gamers, and welcome to the final of the original specs from World of Warcraft Cataclysm. That's right, the Sub-Rogue. The Sub-Rogue is the last one, and then we're going to be moving into some monk territory. That's right. That's all that's left is the monks, so I'm always keeping the Sub-Rogue last. Maybe I'll change that in the future, but if you look at all the previous guides, Sub-Rogue always came last. Why? Not gonna lie. It is not my favourite spec. I don't know why. There was something about it in Cataclysm that really left me with a sour taste in my mouth. But, I've got to be honest, I've just ran 3 or 4 dungeons on this guy. They were all pretty fun. I actually really enjoyed myself. There's some great synergy going on with the changes in Mr. Pandaria, and they all work really nicely together. I can see how this class is going to perform. I think it could be a competitor. I really, really do. And especially on the fun scale. Let's jump into it. Let's go sub. Boo boo boo! What are our core abilities? Backstab makes a return! Yes! Come on! Like the big balls of King Kong himself, Backstab is back. I was so worried we wouldn't see a Backstab, but there it is. Sub gets the old Backstab. Hemorrhage is still around. Let's read what it does. An instant strike that causes 140% weapon damage, 203% if a dagger is equipped, and causes profuse bleeding that deals an additional 50% of the direct strike's damage over 24 seconds. Now, when they say profuse bleeding, I expect things to be gushing. I expect them to be gushing like a virgin on the prom night. But no. It's a little bit of damage. It's not an incredible amount of damage by any means. So profuse, probably the wrong word there, Blizzard. We've still got Fine Weakness, Ambush, Garrote, Cheap Shot abilities reveal a flaw in your target's defenses, causing all your attacks to bypass 70% of the opponent's armor. Obviously something we want to maintain as much as possible. So again, we're going to see things like Vanish becoming big DPS cooldowns for sub. Really like that. Managing your time in and out of stealth, using things like Shadow Dance to keep Fine Weakness up as much as possible. That lovely little place for advanced level plays still there. And of course we get Shadow Dance. Enter the Shadow Dance for 8 seconds, allowing the use of abilities that ordinarily require stealth. The energy cost of Ambush is reduced by 20 while Dance is active. Now there are a few other abilities that we get as core abilities that aren't listed here. I'm going to get to them shortly. I just want to talk quickly on the talents. The rest of the stuff is all pretty standard as we talked about in the past in the other Rogue videos. This is what I want to talk about. Usually we have a sort of niche choice. We can choose what we want to do. So you have Night Stalker. Increases your movement speed while stealth by 20% and the damage your abilities deal while stealth by 25%. We also had Shadow Focus. Abilities no longer cost energy while you are stealth. Now, I think Sub has been totally cookie-cutted into having Subterfuge. I really do feel that way. Maybe there'll be some math to prove me wrong. That's okay. I don't mind being proved wrong as long as we have a fact to back it up. But Subterfuge, your stealth breaks 3 seconds after dealing or receiving hostile actions rather than doing so immediately. The reason for this is we have various things to do while in stealth. Let's jump into stealth quickly in our pink herd. That's a stabbing rogue. Ambush, Garrote, and Pre-Med. 3 abilities that we can use whilst in stealth. All pretty cool, and we need to be using them all the time, especially when we get back into stealth using things like Vanish, of course. So if I jump into stealth, jump over here, I can pre-med, I can also garrote, and then I can start throwing out ambushes. So you can see I've got 5 weakness on, I've got a bleed effect on, and now I'm up to 5 combo points immediately. So you can continue to DPS there. Oh, fight weakness is about to wear off. Let's presume this is some point later in the fight. No big deal. Oh, I'm going to vanish. And I get a couple of choices to do there. So I get to fire off my pre-med again. I can use an ambush. And then I'm coming back out of stealth. Those 3 seconds really buy you a little bit of extra cheesy goodness. To get an extra garrote out of there. Get an extra ambush out of there. Just buys you more time in general. And get you back your fine weakness. So I think we're cookie cutted into this. So be aware of that. Someone was telling me Night Stalker actually worked in Shadow Dance. Now, I have seen no evidence of that. Shadow Dance doesn't actually put you into stealth. It just allows the use of stealth abilities. You're not actually in stealth. Night Stalker says it deals 25% extra damage whilst stealth. So someone was saying to me, I think Night Stalker is going to be great for sub because obviously it works with Shadow Dance. Now, I don't think it does. I did a little test. I did not see a 25% damage increase. I did not see that. So I think Subterfuge is the way to go. The rest of the stuff is still pick and choose as the encounter dictates. I still recommend Shadow Step. Obviously, we've got the choice of 2 main abilities. You've got your backstab while you're behind the target, and if you can't get behind, you've got hemorrhage, and to keep the hemorrhage debuff up. The great thing about Shadow Step, if we're chasing mobs or anything, when we Shadow Step, we're instantly in backstab behind the boss. So the boss or the mob or whatever it might be, Shadow Step just instantly getting us into that behind the target situation. Really enjoy that. Let's jump into the passives. Okay, so everything else has remained the same. we've still got the same abilities. We're going to be using Eviscerate. We're going to be using a ton of finishers. We still have Pre-Med. I did mention it earlier, but I just want to make sure you guys know it there. While you're stealth, you gain 2 combo points when you use this on something, so you get an extra free amount of combo points. Happy, happy days. And now we go into here. The first thing people ask me is, are we still keeping Recoup up? They want to know, are we still going to have to manage Recoup and Slice and Dice? The answer to that is no. Previously in Cataclysm, Recoup was giving us a lot of energy back. That was part of the build. Now it's called Energetic Recovery. It literally just works off Slice and Dice. While your Slice and Dice is active, you gain 8 energy every 2 seconds. Okay, so your Recoup is not involved at all. So any old school rogue or even new rogue will realise the power of Slice and Dice. Energetic Recovery is just a nice passive that's there. So we're going to be keeping Slice and Dice up anyway. Now we're going to be gaining energy every 2 seconds while doing so. Find Weakness we spoke about. Keeping that up as much as humanly possible is a brilliant way to try and play sub. Honor Among Thieves is still in there as the classic sub ability. When any player or party raid critically hits with a spell or ability, you gain a combo point. Can only occur every 2 seconds. Now, the brilliant thing about this and the drawback is using things like training dummies to practice really does not help sub-rogues, especially if you're looking from a PvE point of view. It really does not help because Honor Among Thieves is not going to proc. Unless you've managed to gather a whole bunch of gangsters to do some DPS on that training dummy while you're in a party, you're not going to get the same benefit of how many combo points a sub-rogue can get by having Honor Among Thieves. It's not going to happen. Master of Subtlety is what we've talked about already. Sub gets Master Poisoner. Love this. We still get the spell damage taken by anything we have poisoned for 5% for the whole raid. Fantastic. That was Assassination only in Kata. Now every single rogue gets it. Awesome, awesome. Our Mastery is Executioner. More mastery we have, the more effective our finishing moves and the effectiveness of Slice and Dice are. Now, I did a full run that I wanted to save the damage meter for. The Shower of Doubt. Let's go to the Shower of Doubt. Obviously, pwned the meters. Nuff said, as expected. You can see here, attack and deadly poison, even for sub, are still way ahead. You can see hemorrhage there. The average tick of a hemorrhage is about 2.8k for me. Got lots of ruptures and eviscerates and backstabs and all that kind of good stuff and some ambushes. But overall, attack and deadly poison, all benefiting from Slice and Dice. This could be a really super powerful mastery. Keep an eye out for that. It's likely the way we're going to be heading, I think, for sub to get much more. How that will work in relation to haste, I really don't know. But the fact it buffs your finishing moves as well is really nice. Prey on the Weak, we've already talked about. Relentless Strikes, you get that as well built in. Finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to restore 25 energy. 100% with 5 pointers, obviously. And Sanguinary Vein. The brilliant thing about the synergy between our AoE, our Fan of Knives, now giving us combo points, and we have a finishing move called Crimson Tempest and Sanguinary Vein all works together beautifully to give sub a really nice AoE. Sub suffered a little bit from the AoE in the past compared to the others. Obviously, they didn't have things like Blade Flurry. They weren't proccing as many poisons as an Envenomed Fan of Knives, for instance. However, with Sanguinary Vein, check this out. Increase the damage of your Rupture ability by 50%. So that's straight up. Instantly, you can see we're going to be using Rupture while we're playing sub. And causes you to deal 25% additional damage. That's not physical, that's not poison, that's everything. It's all built in together to targets afflicted by your Rupture, Garrote, or Crimson Tempest. Now, I want to show you exactly how quickly we can get up to 5 combo point Crimson Tempest with sub. It is the fastest spec possible of getting there. While we're in stealth, we're approaching our little AoE here. We can throw on our pre-med. We can garrote. We can get an ambush on. Look at that. I'm already there. And there goes my Crimson Tempest straight away. Instantly start AoEing and doing 25% extra damage while doing Crimson Tempest. I was not able to do Crimson Tempest anywhere near as many times in a 5-man as I was with sub. Sometimes pulling off 2 Crimson Tempests compared to the 1, 3 or 4 pointer I was trying to show you in the previous videos. Especially when you mix in Honor Among Thieves. It's such a beautiful synergy to give Subtlety its lovely AoE that it's got now. Really like that. Swiftblade's Cunning is still in there, increasing the raid haste. There's so many buffs that we gain from being a sub-rogue in a raid. I really like it. It's so cool. And of course, Subterfuge we just spoke about. I think that is the cookie cutter talent you're going to be taking if you're playing sub. I can't see any alternative to that whatsoever. So those are your changes to sub. I'm going to show you plenty of gameplay this time because I did have a lot of fun. So let's jump into it now. Boom! No messing around. We don't play around at Breach Gaming. We're looking forward to some sub play. I have to open up with, hey, you know what? Let's do some AoE. currently on the big bug on the beta realms at the moment is you break stealth if you cast Trisk of the Trade. Why is that a bug? So annoying. So really is annoying. But I wanted to show you that Sub, you know what? Has some AoE, baby. Has some AoE. That's right. I was talking to you in the talents section about how our AoE now just generates so many combo points with the combination of Fan of Knives and Pre-Med and all that great stuff, is that we can actually pull off very competitive AoE. Whereas Sub failed in Cataclysm with AoE to a certain extent. It just was not up there with the others. It fell behind, it lagged behind. It was very much a single target. I'm going to stab you right up the A-hole, straight in the brown eye, if you try and commandeer any sort of AoE situations. The Subtlety just fell behind a little bit, and they did suffer, but no longer. Such a brilliant change with what Blizzard has done here. I absolutely adore it. You can see me switching it up here, going in there, getting the Grots on, getting the Fine Weaknesses on, getting the Poisons rocking and rolling, diving back into stealth and all that kind of great stuff. It really works so well together. I absolutely loved this change. So I definitely wanted to show you a couple of examples of this going on. I am not the best at this. You can see there, I throw out the Pre-Med, I get the Fan of Knives going straight into a Crimson Tempest, and you can see how much the AoE works. Look at that. When I finally pull it off, I realised that my Tricks of the Trade was breaking stealth. No longer an issue. You can see how quickly I'm generating combo points. I'm getting Honor Among Thieves. I'm getting all this really cool stuff all the time. A Sub to help me be just right up there on the meters and destroy, as a Subtlety Rogue should. We should be destroying every single time we get in there. It is the best change ever. It really is, because it's no good having a really good spec in one situation that fails in a different situation, because some bosses just prefer to have a mixed combination of targets. We like having different things going on. This was another situation I wanted to show you, which is 3 mobs. What do? We have this weird decision to make as a rogue. What do we do with these 3 mobs? If we're combat, we just stick up Blade Flurry and we don't worry about it at all. If we're assassination, hell, our poisons do so much damage we can probably just Fan of Knives away. So I wanted to try a couple of different things. In this one I went for just straight up Fan of Knives. It wasn't actually that bad. As you can see, the damage was really fine compared to everybody else. We got some Shamans in there doing some chaining and all that good stuff. It didn't actually work out too badly at all. But I also have this other option, which is throwing out ruptures on every single mob, which is what I wanted to show you here. I was rupturing and then I was switching it up, changing the mobs so I can then get rupture on various other ones. You can see I'm mixing in hemorrhage, I'm getting hemorrhage debuffs on. I'm throwing rupture on as many mobs as possible. If I've got 3 mobs, what's the difference? That's what I want to know. Because should I be just throwing ruptures on everything and switching target, getting poisons up on everything? Or should I just be Fan of Knives in and just sort of letting everything do its natural ability? I will say from the little tests I did, if you have 3 mobs or so, rupture did not seem that great. It really didn't. So let's jump into some single target now. Oh, where Sub should shine. There we go. Straight away into a Shadow Dance. Get that Grot up, get the Pre-Med going, got the Fine Weakness up, spamming some ambushs. You can see some big ambush crits coming in there, and then working our way back into this backstab rotation. Backstabbing, getting combo points coming out of our rectum. There's so much things going up with the arse with this spec. I really adore it. You can see I pull so far ahead compared to where I was when we were doing some multi-target DPS. I'm not saying Sub has got the best AoE in the world. It certainly prefers to be a single target spec. It might even come out that if we've got 3 mobs, a straight up single target DPS spec is the way to go. But you can see very quickly how much I pulled ahead there. I came to this boss. This is one of the bosses I'm talking about. There's multiple situations going on. We've got AoE to be done. We've got single target to be done. You can see when it's single target, look at the damage meter. I'm just flowing ahead naturally, and I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm keeping my rupture on. I'm keeping everything on as humanly possible. I've got this going on. I also mix in some recuperates into this fight. You can see pulling off vanishes and stuff like that. Just making sure I get on there. But then this situation arises. What the hell do we do? My thoughts here, let's get some ruptures on. They're all spread around, so I think maybe I'll just go for a simple rupture rotation. I'll get some ruptures on him. I'm going to move around, do some different mobs. But oh, now I'm getting a Fan of Knives situation. What shall I do here? Can I pull off a Crimson Tempest? All these kind of decisions, I'm not sure how we play them yet. I tried them all. As you can see, I'm trying different things. This is what being on the beta is all about, and this is what my job is all about, to try this stuff out so you guys know what to do later. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Sub plays on live. I really am. I want to get some level 90 stuff out for you guys. I think Anticipation will be beautiful for Sub. Getting those extra combo points, because sometimes we do overflow as Sub. We've got all these Honor Among Thieves procs giving us extra combo points. We've got Pre-Med, we're going into stealth. We're doing all these different kind of things. We're mixing all of it up to keep as much Fine Weakness up. Keeping track of all those things can get a little overwhelming at times, and I don't want that for you guys. I really don't. I will say, when it comes to the Shadow Dance, we're still building our energy before we do it. We want to make sure we can get those ambushes in. People spamming Shadow Dance will not get the benefit of waiting just a few seconds. Let that energy build up to around 80, 90 energy. Then pop your Shadow Dance. Get in there. Get the Garrote going. Get all that kind of good stuff going. Again, showing here, just mixing it up. Getting some ruptures ticking away. Getting all that energy ticking back. Remember, multiple ruptures giving us a lot of energy. A lot of energy back when it ticks every couple of seconds to give us more and more stuff. All giving us 50% extra damage for everything else we're doing. Beautiful little thing. Keeping Slice and Dice on. Need that extra energy. Keeping ourselves alive. You see I'm throwing a recoup on myself. Look how close to death I am. We've got Cloak of Shadows on cooldown. That's never fun. Never fun. But in this fight particularly, we had a relatively weak healer who's obviously not dispelling. Typical in this dungeon not to be dispelling. But I used everything. It was combat readiness. I was using evasion. I was keeping myself alive and keeping recoup on. Keeping myself up all the time, and rogues are so sturdy. We can cope with so many situations, and then bringing this out is this final phase. Oh, that's painful to see. It's so painful to see that we're coming to an extra phase of this boss fight. But again, using everything to our advantage, anything we could possibly do to keep ourselves alive. One of the problems with it, we certainly start to suffer when our cooldowns are down. You can see my health is just dropping and dropping and dropping. And I'm still working out what the best way is to DPS. I really am trying to just figure it out for you guys, give you an answer. As it stands right now, I actually think if you got 3 mobs up, just go plain old single target, baby. But one thing to say, sub is definitely fun. So amazingly fun. I had a great time on it. I can't wait to try it on live. It's renewed my life into sub. You have a great day, ballers.